Welcome back to part 4 of What If Hinata Was the Sensei of Team 7. As always, link to the fanfiction is in the description. Chapter 7 Mission to the Luna Village and a new teammate. Hinata was summoned to the Hokage's office. She wondered what it was about. What she saw was a girl who looked to be around the age of 13. She had long black hair, brown eyes, and wore a green shirt with a black skirt. She had shoes that were also green. The girl's skin was fair in complexion. On her face, she looked unhappy to be in Hinata's presence. Why was she here? Is there any reason you summoned me here, Hokage-sama? Hinata asked. Yes, it's about a new student for Team 7. One of them is one man short, and this girl, who was dropped from the program, is the best candidate we could find. It's a shame, because unlike her other teammates, she does have promise as a ninja. Hinata couldn't help but feel bad for the girl. She knows what the girl is thinking and it makes her feel sick. Her only reason for having another chance to be a ninja is because Sakura died, and Team 7 needs a replacement. Another reason to hate this system. Introduce yourself to your sensei. The Hokage ordered her. I'm Kagome Takahashi. I am honored to be in your presence. Hinata-sensei, thank you, Hokage-sama, for giving me another chance. She bowed respectfully to both of them and left. This was not fair. It felt like this girl only had a chance because of Sakura. Before she could indulge in her thoughts, the Hokage spoke. I know it's soon, but it has to be done. I'm assigning you on another mission. Hinata wanted to snap. She had to ask him a question. She couldn't just not say anything. Can I speak freely? Hinata asked. Permission granted. I didn't want another mission to happen so soon. Not after what happened with Sakura. This new girl Kagome will be needed to train first. It took my team 2 months to get them to work together with Sakura, but with Kagome as a new member, Naruto and Sasuke would need some time to work together. It took 2 months for my team to be able to properly work together, and that was before Sakura died on that mission. There's no way in hell that they're ready, especially Kagome. I don't even know what she can do or her skills, and neither does Naruto and Sasuke. Please give me a month to at least train them. She wanted to be respectful, but she didn't want to go out on another mission so soon. Kagome does have experience. We made an exception for her because of the latent potential she has. Kakashi has trained her, though she will need to learn to work together with others, and the only way to do that is to go on another mission. I know you don't want to, because it's so soon, but your team must be prepared for the Chunin exams, which are over a month away. The damn exams, they can wait a year to take it. She wanted to voice her opposition, but she couldn't. When is my team expected to leave? Asked Hinata. A few days from now. That should give Kagome time to acquaint herself with her teammates. He dismissed her. She left, not feeling satisfied. She's being sent on another mission, given another student, so soon after what happened to Sakura. The failure was too fresh to her, but she knew that was the nature of what it means to be a shinobi. She put the pain of her failure aside and focused on her task at hand. It had been a month since the Land of Waves mission. Sasuke trained with his usual routine. Naruto would be here soon. He always prefers to train alone. The kind of techniques that the Uchiha train with are usually techniques that members of their clan usually train alone or with other members, not with outsiders. Sasuke is the only member of his clan left in the village. He has no other training partner to train with. Before he could get to his training, he saw a kunai pass right past him and hit the bullseye. She was one of the most talented students of this year. The only people that were higher than her were Sasuke. I see you haven't lost your touch, Kagome-san. Sasuke said with a measure of respect. There was always respect between them, even though he was always the winner of their duels. Sasuke couldn't help but admire the girl in terms of her skills. When he heard that she was dropped from the program, he thought it was a shame such talent wasted. What is she doing here? I was wondering what you were doing here. Weren't you dropped from the program? Why do you have the Konoha headband on your forehead? He asked, confused. I wasn't really dropped, it's just my teammates. They didn't have what it took, so they were useless idiots who couldn't follow basic protocol. Kagome said with contempt. Sasuke knew exactly the kind of people she was stuck with. One of them was lazy, and one of them was someone who didn't take their studies seriously. She was stuck with the worst teammates. He couldn't help but hold them in contempt. So why are you here? Shouldn't you be training with your sensei or something? Asked Sasuke. My sensei isn't here yet. She replied. Tell me, Sasuke, are you interested in another duel between us? We haven't had one in a while. She was serious. She got into her fighting stance. Sasuke got into his. He figured it wouldn't hurt to indulge. It would turn out just like every other fight they had. Nothing was said for the next few seconds until Sasuke made the first move. He threw a shuriken and she easily deflected it with her concealed katana. Sasuke took out a kunai and blocked her sword. She pushed him back. She was one of the rare Konichi and Konoha to use a katana. It wasn't encouraged by shinobi to use such weapons, and it was a fighting style that was difficult to master. She was harder than normal to fight. Sasuke was surprised how much stronger the girl has become in the past few months. If she were serious about killing him, she could easily do so if Sasuke were to let down his guard. You're going to have to come at me as if you're trying to kill me, Sasuke-chan, the girl said mockingly. The mocking pissed Sasuke off. God, he couldn't stand this girl, her arrogant and smug beak demeanor. He never liked her. Even if he respected her skills, she was always arrogant. Don't get cocky just because you're doing better than normal, Sasuke replied sharply. He kicked her in the stomach, giving them both distance. The girl put her sword back in its sheath, got into a different fighting stance. What was this? She went straight at him. He had barely had time to block. Her skills in hand-to-hand combat were always one of the best in the academy. Her taijutsu skills were almost at the level of Hanabi Hyuga. He blocked her blows that would have ended the fight then and there if Sasuke were any other opponent. As a member of the Uchiha clan, he was expected to have mastery at all forms of combat: ninjutsu, taijutsu and genjutsu, which were the basics. He was wondering how this girl was able to keep up with them so well. He could say what he wants about Hinata Hyuga, but her teaching methods helped improve her students' skills quickly. Who was her teacher who was teaching her? Sasuke wants to know if someone like that is able to make this girl build a keep up with him despite his training with Ugly, one of the most talented Konichi of her generation. That he must be someone impressive indeed. Couldn't think about that. She wasn't letting him recover or then take a deep breath. She kicked him on the shin, knocking him to the ground. Sasuke got up quickly to prevent the girl from getting a victory. He was going to humble this girl and show her just what the Uchihas were all about. Of course, when you looked at her, she had a calm expression like she always does, even in the face of defeat. You want to know why I don't like you, Sasuke Uchiha? You're arrogant and you think because you're the prodigy of this year that you are better than me. You can't even consider the fact that I've trained non-stop since the day we both got out of the academy. I'm not the same girl I was the last time we fought. He understood that well, her skills, which is something he always respected, which is one of the reasons he enjoyed their duels so much. But she would not be challenging him unless she was completely confident that she could win this time. Considering the last time their duel went, she had lost badly. Kagome wasn't the kind of person that challenged anyone unless she had a chance to win. She was one of the main reasons Sasuke trained as hard as he did. He wasn't going to lose to anyone, especially to her. So finally, you're taking this duel seriously? About damn time. I got a new jutsu I want to show off, the girl said arrogantly. Sasuke did his hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu. A fireball came out of his mouth, heading rapidly to Kagome's direction. The girl looked calm. She wasn't phased. She did her own hand signs to counter his jutsu. Water style, water barrier. Then she did another jutsu. Wind style, typhoon. There was a gigantic gust of wind. Sasuke knew he couldn't counter it without his fireball jutsu, but he wouldn't be able to do it in time. He jumped out of the way in order to dodge the jutsu, only for him to be knocked down by a kick in the air from Kagome, who smiled smugly. Sasuke did not understand the significance until he looked down where he was. He lost his footing and he tripped, an amateur mistake. He chastised himself. The ground was obviously targeted and not him, in order to make his footing unstable. The girl was stronger than he thought, a mistake he did not intend to repeat again if he ever starred before again, that is. You've lost your touch. Looks like I won, she couldn't help but remark arrogantly. Sasuke wanted to leap and strangle the girl. She won. He hasn't even made admitted defeat yet. He got up and spoke in the common voice he can muster. You're acting all smug, but don't forget you've lost every duel until now, remember? Sasuke pointed out. Oh, Sasuke-chan, how much does it hurt knowing that a girl is stronger than you and our sensei is also stronger? It must hurt your fragile ego, she said mockingly. You're as much of a bitch as I remember, Sasuke replied. I'll take that as a compliment, thank you very much, the girl said, still smiling with that smug look on her face. Hey Sasuke, who is that? Asked Naruto. The girl looked at him in annoyance that their duel was interrupted. Sasuke was relieved in a way, though he was a little annoyed because he did not like his duel being interrupted. He hated unfinished business. Oh great, so I'm stuck with you too. The arrogant Uchiha and the class clown, and now a sensei who's from a clan that I can't stand. This is wonderful. Kagome isn't happy to be with either of them. Well, the feeling is mutual, said Naruto, who now recognizes her. You got to be kidding me, you mean you are a new teammate? Naruto asked her in disbelief. When it clicked why she was here, Sasuke couldn't believe Naruto figured it out before he did when she said her sensei isn't here yet. That should have been the giveaway, but he was so focused on the duel that he didn't even consider it. He wanted to kick himself. Yeah, do you have a problem, Naruto-chan? The girl asked mockingly. Oh, God, you're as insufferable as I remember. Naruto said, not liking the fact that she was Sakura's replacement. Before anything could happen, Hinata showed up, which Sasuke was grateful. The last thing he wanted was to see an argument between him and Kagome. I take it you've all been compared then, said Hinata in her authoritative voice that Sasuke had grown accustomed to. Now that we've all been acquainted, I'm letting you all know we're being assigned to another mission, but before that, we're going to get to know each other a little bit first. Since you're my teammate now, Kagome, Naruto, and Sasuke. You should tell them a bit about yourself before we get started. She waited for the girl to talk before she spoke in a calm and collected manner, different from earlier. I'm Kagome Takahashi. My likes? Well, that's none of your business. My dislikes are many. I dislike arrogant people, self-important people, and most of all, people who don't appreciate what they have. Sasuke didn't know that part. She didn't share anything about herself with anyone. As for my dreams, I have none. I only have one thing I care about, and no, I'm not telling anyone. I'm not here to make friends, nor do I want you to be my friend. I'm just here to be a ninja and to get paid. That's it. This girl told them all literally nothing, but Sasuke isn't surprised. Kagome has always been mysterious. Naruto and Sasuke talked about themselves. Sasuke did not look forward to having to work with this girl. It took almost 2 months for him to get along with Naruto. He dreaded having to learn to work with Kagome, who was even more difficult to get along with than Naruto had been at the beginning. After they finished introducing themselves, Hinata briefed them on the mission they would be going on in the next few days. Hinata was summoned to her father's quarters. When she opened the door, she saw another man, a silver-haired man in white robes. A man who was blindfolded. Why did you summon me here, Hiashi? Hinata asked the head of the Hyuga clan. It is imperative that you bring him to his destination in one piece. It would not be good for our clan if the heir were harmed. Her father said with a voice that showed little emotion. Are you saying that I am incompetent, that I cannot do my job? I have been doing escort missions since I was 12 years old. I am not a child. Hinata snapped. Watch your tongue when speaking to me, girl. I will not have you disrespect me in front of our guest, he said coldly. She hated being in this room. She hated being in the compound as a whole. Every time she went there, all it did was bring back memories and the dreaded words she heard at night when she went to sleep. It should have been you that died, Hiashi said to a 9-year-old Hinata. I look forward to doing business with you in the future, Hiashi-san. The silver-haired man bowed respectfully and walked out of the room. Hinata and her father were alone. The tension between the two was high ever since she willingly gave up being the heir of the clan. Her father never let it go despite her younger sister, Hanabi, being more suited for his taste. Unless you need something from me, Hiashi, I will take my leave. Hinata said respectfully before she went. Her father's voice stopped her cold. How much do you intend to pursue this foolishness of being the Hokage? It doesn't in any way benefit the clan. You should have already been married by now and already produced heirs, because that's what you should be doing. Not training a bunch of kids and not even being good at it, considering one of them was killed on a mission. The rage she was feeling. The fact that he has to rub salt on the wound is a reminder of her failure. It took everything she had not to activate her Byakugan and shove him against the wall. It took everything she had, all of herself, to control her anger. With controlled anger, she replied to her father's words. The clan, that's all it is with you. You don't think about what any of your children wants. You only see us as an extension of yourself. Hinata didn't care whether or not she angered her father, as it was how she truly felt about him. Her father, in the rare instance where he lost control of his emotions, leapt across the room and slapped Hinata hard across the face. I touched a nerve, didn't I? Because it's true. Now you don't summon me here unless you have a good reason, so stop wasting both of our time and get to the damn point. I have a mission to do. Her father regained his composure and sat back down. Hinata and her father couldn't be in the same room for long due to how often they argued. The relationship changed for the worse the day her mother died. The relationship was non-existent. She didn't want to think about that now. She didn't want to keep her students waiting any longer than necessary. Truth be told, the man you're escorting is a man named Tonari Otsutsuki, a potential match for either you or Hanabi in the future. We want you to make a good impression so they will be more likely to agree to a possible arrangement in the future. It was all a business arrangement. Hinata wanted to scream. We'll make sure he gets there in one piece whether the clan wants me to do it or not because that's my mission. Your sister Hanabi is on Team 8. She will be an exceptional ninja, even if you are not the heir to our clan. You still have obligations. She wanted to scoff at such an obligation, she was tired of them all. Her life, she had people telling her she couldn't do anything because of some bullshit like destiny. My only obligation is to my team in this village. I don't want any part of your political games. Hinata replied sharply. You are a member of this clan, whether you live here or not. That doesn't change the fact that you still have your obligations. You are obligated to find a husband, a suitable one to continue the family line. Another thing you cannot deny is that you are the Byakugan princess, regardless if you're my heir or not. She cared nothing about continuing the line of ignorant and stuck-up fools who are stuck in the past. I won't marry anyone, I don't care who they are. I won't marry anyone the clan wants me to. I owe you nothing. Hinata said, about to activate her Byakugan. It should have been you who died, Hiyashi. It should be you that's 6 feet under, not mother and certainly not uncle. She wanted to say out loud, God. She wanted to tell her father how much she hated him, how much she despised him, how much she hates everything about him. She cannot voice her true feelings, even though she wants to. It's unfortunate that she's a Hyuga, she has to bite her tongue as much as she wants to reveal her true feelings. However, she's already pushed the limits of what she's allowed to get away with. Hinata turned her back on him and walked out, not listening to her father's protests. She was so angry every time she was summoned to her father's study, he always riles her up. She took a deep breath, she couldn't show up looking like this. She saw Tonari waiting for her by the gate of the compound. I take it you and your father don't have good relations? He asked her. I'd rather not talk about it, I'd rather get started on the mission, Hinata said in a tone that is business-like. Damn, you're as cold as they say, kind of a shame really for such a pretty face, he said smirkingly. The nerve of this man, Hinata thought. He walked by her side without saying anything as she headed toward the gate. This would be her second mission outside the village with her team. She hoped this wouldn't end in failure like the first one had. An escort mission, we have to escort a spoiled noble from some land. Great, this isn't something I'm looking forward to. Kagome looked at him in annoyance. I don't care as long as we get paid. It's not like we're doing it out of the goodness of our hearts. She didn't care what kind of mission she did, there was only one thing she cared about, providing for her family. Her family has been struggling financially for a long time. Her mother works 24/7 to put food on the table, and it isn't easy considering the limited employment opportunities for civilians in the village. Despite her aunt being a hero in the last war, she lives in poverty. The only way to be able to provide for her mother is to work, and the most efficient job for a civilian is being a shinobi of Konoha, basically a glorified mercenary. Kagome doesn't think there's any honor in this line of work because mercenaries are what ninjas essentially are. At the end of the day, they're no different from the mercenaries that are hired. So she doesn't think there's anything noble about this line of work. She feels lucky she couldn't help but think that yes, she was exempt from being permanently dropped from the program because of her natural talent, but it still didn't make her feel good knowing someone else's death helped pave the way for her to be on a team. To put those thoughts aside, she can't think that way. What matters is providing for her mother. The means to do so didn't matter. They were all waiting for their sensei escorting a noble. For what she heard, this noble was someone that was highly respected, a member from the Utsutsuki family. For what she had heard from them, they had strong connections to the higher-ups in the Land of Fire, and the person in question they were escorting was their son, the next head of the family. Though she didn't care about any of that, the only thing she was concerned with was getting the mission done so she could give her mom the necessities in order for them to be able to eat. Hinata arrived. Everyone looked at her and saw a silver-haired man right behind them. His skin was pale. She knew who that he was by reputation. He was the next head of the clan. "You're all aware of what our mission is, right?" Hinata asked her team. Sasuke answered, "Yes, our objective is to escort Tonari Utsutsuki to the Luna village, which is north of here." Hinata showed them on the map that they all carried. The Luna village, she read about it once millennia ago, is where the Sage of Six Paths was born, but she didn't believe in such legends. She didn't believe that the Sage of Six Paths ever existed at all. She was not a believer of the faith. She knew the significance of it. She didn't think she'd be going there of all places. "Can someone explain to me what's the Luna village?" Naruto asked, confused. She wasn't surprised that he never heard of the village. Not many in Konoha have unless they were devout believers. "I'll explain to you on the way. Everyone deserves to know because it's important for our mission," Hinata said in a business-like manner. She met this man prior to meeting them at the gates. Just what was going through her head, Kagome thought. Her priority may be her mission in order to give money to her family, but she couldn't help but wonder just what was Hinata thinking. After traveling for the day, the party made camp. Naruto sat down. He was confused about the Luna village. He had never heard of it. "Kyubi, do you know anything about the Luna village?" Naruto asked his companion. Inside him, "It would take me too long to explain what it is, but let's just say it's one of the oldest places in the world. That's where the Sage of Six Paths was born." Kyubi answered. "He actually existed?" Naruto asked him, astonished. "Of course he did. Everything you know about this world wouldn't exist without him. The origins of every jutsu are tied to the Sage of Six Paths. The origins of all the clans that exist are also tied to him." Naruto couldn't help but want to know more. He felt stupid. What does this have to do with the Luna village? Naruto asked him, wanting to know what the point of him telling him about the Sage of Six Paths was. "You should ask your sensei. You shouldn't depend on me for every answer. Rely on your own wit." He cut his link with Naruto, leaving Naruto to his own thoughts. Almost as if she could sense that he had questions, Hinata, who was sitting across from him, handed him the food she cooked and started a conversation. "You must have many questions." "Yes, I have many questions, like, what is the name of the village? What is its history? And what does it have to do with our mission?" He took a bite out of the food he ate after he had asked a question. He almost forgot about the question, considering he never tasted food this good. His sensei was a great cook, but he knew that wouldn't be relevant to the question he had, so he would leave that be for now. The Luna village is significant in the Land of Fire. Not only is it the birthplace of the Sage of Six Paths, but it's also the birthplace of the Hyuga, Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki clans. It's a significant site and members of its family have lived in that region for millennia. His clan are guardians of the Luna village. It is important to the Land of Fire in terms of its religious significance. Hinata answered. Naruto couldn't help but freeze when he heard that he was part of a clan he didn't even know about. But Konoha isn't the only nation that worships the Sage of Six Paths. Shouldn't the Luna village be important to the other villages as well? Naruto asked her. It's complicated. It's part of the Land of Fire, yet it's not part of our territory. It sounds like a paradox, but if we try to lay claim to it, or if any nation tried to lay claim to it, it would ignite a war. So, the Luna village has forever declared neutrality as a result. There was so much about the world Naruto didn't know. Was he really qualified to be the Hokage? "You're so wise, Hinata-sensei. I feel so insignificant and small when I hear about all of this stuff that you just told me." Hinata's expression didn't change. "I was where you were once, so I know how that is. The world is so much bigger than Konoha and the Land of Fire compared to the world. We are all insignificant, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Humility is an important component of being a Hokage, at least that's what I believe. Though many don't agree with me." Naruto couldn't help but agree with Hinata on that. "I really want to know why you want to be a Hokage." Naruto asked Hinata. It's complicated, perhaps I'll tell you more at a different time. The short version: this village needs to change, it's long overdue that it changes. The old guard need to be removed, and a new generation of leaders need to take hold and forge the future for the next generation, and not have the next generation held back by bad ideas that have been proven to be failures. Naruto felt so childish, his reasoning for one to be a Hokage as acknowledgement. Hinata's reason is far more complicated. I feel like such a child compared to you. You haven't told me much, but I feel like my reasoning for being the Hokage is for acknowledgement. Is that really what I want? Naruto asked her out loud, asking himself more than Hinata. You remind me of someone that I admired. She was a lot like you when I think about it. She wanted to be a Hokage too, for the same reason you do, but she found something else. She remembered Kushina, her babysitter and Naruto's father. She felt so awful, keeping such a secret that she had an actual relationship with his parents, something she will never have. Don't be hard on yourself, Naruto. You have your whole life to figure it out. I can help you as your sensei and your friend, she said with some form of hesitation. Give her time. Someone with trust issues isn't going to openly accept the concept of friendship overnight. It's going to take time, the fox spirit said, reading Naruto's concerns. Things remained silent between them for the rest of the night. The one question he wanted to ask her he feared had slipped from his mind. No, he would ask her when the opportunity presented itself again. For now, he went to sleep in order to have the energy to continue on with the mission the next day. The next few days would go by in a flash. Team 7 would pass through mountains, the Luna village was difficult to get to, and only those who knew how to get to the village were able to find their way there. An escort showed them to the village. They were on top of the hill, and Sasuke couldn't believe his eyes. His parents had told him about this place when he was a child. He thought it was only a fairy tale, but it exists. Welcome, residents of Konoha. You are the first since Madara Uchiha and Kana Hyuga to set foot in this place. Sasuke and Hinata, whose eyes widened, are the names of the two people who are famous among both their clans. Sasuke never thought he'd be setting foot in the very place where his ancestors set foot. The way it is described matches the description given by Madara. The village is something from a different world. There is a forest as far as the eye can see, the trees are taller than anything he has ever seen. Nothing in his wildest imaginings compares to the tree he is looking at, which looks ancient, at least 5,000 years old. Everyone in the group was looking at Kagome, who is usually not interested in these sorts of things. Sasuke felt like he had entered a parallel world. No wonder this place was protected, he couldn't imagine a war in this place. This place looked like it was untouched by humans, he couldn't help but be moved by the beauty of the place in his heart. Even though he hates Itachi and everything he stands for, he believes he would do anything to get his revenge. This is one thing he couldn't bring himself to destroy to get his revenge. This place was too sacred. I see this has even moved you, Sasuke-san. Tonari couldn't help but point that out about Sasuke, who normally wouldn't show emotions openly like this. Whatever, I was just cut off, that's all. Sasuke said, trying to play cool. He couldn't afford to lose. Face didn't know why, but he felt something significant about this place. They were here for a reason, and he didn't know why. Hinata couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of the forest she was walking through. It felt like something out of a fantasy novel. The colors in the trees were unusual: pink, green, blue, and every other color she could think of that represented life. How could such a place exist in the land of fire? You're probably wondering why we're here, Tonari said, looking up into the sky as if he were thinking. I don't understand why we need to be here either. I cannot reveal that at this time. The answer will become clear soon enough. The seer of this village, my mother, will answer your questions. He said no more and continued to walk in front of the group. Hinata didn't know why she couldn't put her finger on it. She felt like she was brought here for a reason, and so was her team, but what was it? They continued to walk for a few more days until they finally got to their destination. She saw no signs of life in the village. There was no way it could be deserted. Her Byakugan saw many life forms. What was going on? Villagers are wary of outsiders. It's nothing personal. Our clan suffered a genocide in the past and were wary of people from the outside world. Your group are the only people have come here since Madara and Kana came here over 70 years ago. 70 years Hinata thought that would have been the time of the war state period before the founding of the Land of Fire. What did one of the founders of Konoha and the last Byakugan queen do here? When they got to the last building, he stopped. I'm afraid you have to go alone, Hinata-san. My mother's wisdom is for your ears only, and neither one of your students are ready to hear her wisdom. Hinata didn't know what she did to deserve such an honor. She spoke softly to reassure her students, especially Naruto. Don't worry, Naruto. I'll be back. She followed Tonari as she entered the building that housed the seer of the Otsutsuki clan. He left the two alone and the woman took off her hood. She looked like a woman that was in her 40s. It was hard to tell considering the Otsutsuki clan. It was more difficult knowing the age of Otsutsuki compared to average humans. They tend to age slower. I have waited for 19 years to finally meet you, Byakugan princess. We have much to discuss, the woman said as she motioned for Hinata to sit. She sat down. She was waiting for her coming. Why? She wanted to know. She almost flinched when she heard the Byakugan title, which had caused her nothing but pain. She hated it. She didn't want to hear anything about her being the princess. She just wanted to get this over with. There's no way her father knew about this. Whoever this person is, it's a ruse to get her to come here. Whatever reason they have, she wants nothing to do with their agendas. The only thing that matters to her is the mission. What's the real reason you wanted me to come here alone? Hinata asked. Years ago, I once showed a boy visions of a future that hasn't passed yet. There are multiple futures that you will be exposed to, depending on the direction your life takes. The ones you will see more of, however, will be the ones your life is currently headed towards. The woman explained it to her as if she were explaining something to a child. What do you mean by possible futures? What are you talking about? Hinata asked, not believing that she had such power. There's a reason why only those of Uchiha and Hyuga blood are allowed to see my visions. Anyone else would be driven mad. Also, you are the next Byakugan princess. Every one of you has to see a seer when you come of age. You should have seen me 3 years ago when you turned 16, but that wasn't possible. I hope the lateness of seeing you doesn't do harm to our world. Hinata didn't like those revelations. What was she talking about? The Byakugan princess is nothing more than a myth, a title given to give ignorant children hope about a hero who will come to save them one day. No such thing exists. The woman looked at her with disappointment. Perhaps his faith in you, it was misplaced. She had no idea what she was talking about when she was sick of this cryptic nonsense. I'm not going to explain anything, girl. I'm going to do what I do to everyone, including the privileged princess such as yourself. I am the current seer of the Luna village. Let you see glimpses of your possible futures. The woman approached her slowly and touched Hinata's forehead. She saw flashes of everything that was to come, everything that had happened. It didn't make sense. She felt like her head was exploding. Visions of possible futures. I can't lose, not with my sister watching me. She heard a voice that sounded like her younger sister. She was facing someone that looked like her cousin Neji, who got in his stance. You should have forfeited this match when you had the chance. It is not your destiny to win. Neji said coldly. She had seen multiple outcomes, one where Hanabi wins, and another. Hanabi. Hinata held her dying sister. Naruto was by her side. It couldn't be happening. It can't be happening. No, not again. Her sister's life ended. She looked at Neji in rage, killing him with the birdcage seal, shocking everyone. She would never kill anyone using that seal, no matter how much she hated the clan. Why was she seeing this? She screamed in pain. If you had a choice between Naruto or Sasuke, who would you choose? She heard a man with a sinister-sounding voice. She felt a sharp pain on her neck. She had almost collapsed in pain, seeing this particular vision. I'll make you pay, she heard herself say. Her body engulfed in a purple aura, her body marked with markings. The person standing before her was Itachi Uchiha, the man who had betrayed her. Still the weak and pathetic girl you were all those years ago. You haven't changed, said Itachi mockingly. Encountering Itachi was an inevitability. Why is she being shown this? Everyone is dead, everyone you love. You failed to protect Naruto and you think you can stop me, said a man mockingly. She was in a pool of her own blood. The man looked at her triumphantly. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, my beloved. This confused Hinata. What was she seeing? Then she saw a sight she never thought she'd see. She saw the Hyuga compound burning. She held a child with red hair and whiskers on her cheeks. Her father was dead, killed by her own hand. The child was crying. "Don't worry, Mama won't let anyone hurt you again," she soothed the child. Wait, that was her child, and she had red hair and whiskers. She was confused and she saw another vision in the Yoga clan compound. This time, it was on fire, all the members were dead. Her sister was in a pool of her own blood. Then she saw the scene change, the compound was on fire, and she was covered in the blood of all the clan members, from head to toe. The only ones left were her sister. Why sister? She saw herself staring down at her sister's body, fire surrounding her. She heard a voice that wasn't hers but sounded like it. "The clan must be purged, you must pay for what you have taken from me." She heard a distorted voice as she saw herself ending her sister's life. Why did you do that? She saw Naruto, who was 5 years older, holding her broken body. It's because of me. The vision flashes to another. Hinata, come back, turn away from this path, please, I beg of you. She heard her sister say. She turned around and looked at her with hatred. The village will pay for what they did to him for betraying him. Her body was completely engulfed in a purple aura, and her appearance resembled that of a lion. She charged at Hanabi. We shall burn down Konoha together, we'll make them pay for what they did to Hinata-chan. She saw a red-headed woman by her side, though it was hard to make out what she looked like. I support you in everything you do because I love you. She saw herself walking towards Naruto's side. He loved you more than anything, he sacrificed everything for you. There's no greater love than what he had felt towards you. She was locked in a room and she looked at a masked man. Liar. He's a murderer. He betrayed me. He betrayed everyone. Everything you say is poison. Tears were dropping. The cruel truth of what she had learned, everything she thought she believed was a lie. She felt hatred like she had never felt before. Instead of resisting it, she gave in. She laughed at the ridiculousness of what she had just heard from Naruto and a black-haired girl. I will stop when he's avenged, and every person that was responsible for the massacre is brought to trial and executed. I will stop when Itachi is avenged. The words that came out of her mouth were not ones Hinata wanted to believe. I won't let you take him. Hinata faced an orange-haired man with strange-looking eyes. He'll kill you, Hinata-chan. Please fall back. She looked at Naruto, he was older. I can't do that, she replied. I will die to protect you, it's because I love you, tell our daughter I'm sorry and her mother loves her. Everything happened so fast during the fight, she felt like she lost the feeling of her limbs. He snapped her neck, she tumbled to the ground. Naruto looked at her. No. She heard Naruto scream in anguish. Your love for him has blinded you, do you not see what kind of person you have become? Said a raven-haired man, the one she didn't want to see. He never betrayed me like you did, you bastard. She put her fist through his heart, blood splattering everywhere. Good, Hinata. You, me, and Sasuke together, we will have our vengeance, we will show the world true pain. She heard a red-headed woman whose face she couldn't make out. She saw a trail of bodies, and the person she didn't expect to see was Naruto. He looked at her with a cold expression. You were never supposed to find out like this, he said in a detached manner. Why? Hinata asked him. Because I'm a weapon. Your enemies are my enemies. That's all. Naruto replied as if that would be the end of the discussion. This isn't you, please don't do this. Hinata begged, she was crying in the vision. I'll do it all for you. I told you I'd protect you, even if it costs me my humanity. I'll do what I have to so that your dream can come true. No, she didn't want to see this, Naruto becoming a monster for her. No, no, why Naruto-kun? She asked, begging him. It's because I love you, I'll do everything and anything for you, even killing my own humanity, that's how precious you are to me. The vision of herself collapsed on her knees. No, please come back to me Naruto-kun, I love you please. The Hinata of her vision was begging him to come back to her side. No, she can't. No, she doesn't want to love again. No, 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 no. She didn't want to see anymore. You think you'll bring peace to the world. You think being Hokage is going to change this violent world. You're as naive as Hashirama and Madara. Such idealism has caused nothing but suffering, you are no better than they are. The woman she saw in front of her was like an older version of herself. She saw other visions, none of which made sense. Alternate futures, some of which ended with her death, the same ended with the deaths of her friends. When all was said and done, she collapsed, breathing heavily. She was covered in sweat. She looked at the seer. What the hell was that? What the hell did I just see? Hinata demanded. The woman looked down at Hinata as she sat above her. What you saw were visions of possible futures. Hinata had a look of horror on her face. So many futures, so many of them she had betrayed people, so many where she had let love blind her. None of it made sense. She would not love again. She vowed that she would never love again. She made that vow the day Itachi betrayed her. Hinata was breathing heavily. The possible futures she had seen, betraying her friends, being blinded by love. It couldn't be, she couldn't possibly let someone else into her heart. She saw herself fighting many battles, some where she had come off victorious and some where she was killed. She even saw a future where she had ruled the planet with an iron fist, with Naruto by her side. So many futures she had seen where she had given in to her hatred, even futures where she destroyed her clan and did what Itachi had done to his. The seer noticed her confusion and spoke to her like she was speaking to a child. What I showed you was possible futures. The future is not written in stone, but these visions were also based on fear and the darkness that is in your heart. Also your fear of the mark on your neck that you have concealed. Hinata instinctively put her right hand where the curse mark was. She did not want to think about that thing, the thing that Orochimaru had given her 5 years ago. I have seen many of your futures and many of them you've given to your hatred. You become the very thing that you are fighting against. You betray your village, you fall in love again, and your love blinds you to support death and destruction. Yet there is hope, because in the future where it doesn't happen you open your heart to another again. She did not want to hear it. In most of those futures I become a monster. How could there possibly be hope? The woman interrupted her. Foolish child, did you not hear what I just said? What you saw was futures that has yet to pass, futures that are possible but not written in stone. Your dream is to be the Hokage, to change Konoha. Are you really going to give up because of some visions of a future that could be? The woman asked as if she was scolding a child. Hinata got up to her feet and looked at her with pure rage. How dare you have no right? The woman slapped her. I have every right, because you are the Byakugan princess. Amongst all members of your clan, you possess the gift to unlock the highest stage of the Byakugan. Your clan descends from ours, and your power can easily destroy our world, just like your ancestor almost did. Hinata didn't know what she was talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't possess such power. Even if I did, I don't desire it. The woman laughed as if she were laughing at an ignorant child. All humans desire power. Don't be naive and think you're any different than you're this noble woman that seeks to change Konoha and won't do whatever is necessary to make it happen. You're no saint, Hinata. So spare me this self-righteous indignation. I'm here to inform you of your heritage. You are the Byakugan princess. You can deny it all you wish, but you and only you possess the ability to unlock Tenseigan. Because you are a descendant of Hamura, only someone with his chakra has the ability to unlock such an ability. Only you have the ability to unlock it, due to you being the princess of the Hyuga clan. Hinata did not want to hear any of this nonsense. She had been told this before. The Hyuga clan has nothing to do with me. I don't care about this destiny nonsense. You dragged me all the way here just to hear stuff I already know, and I still don't care. She was about to get up to leave, but the seer wouldn't let her. You will only leave when I can say you can leave, child. Now sit back down. Hinata did what she was told. You may deny who you are, you may say your clan has nothing to do with who you are, but sooner or later you will have to accept that the Byakugan princess is who you are. If you don't, one of those potential futures will come to pass. What will it be? I know those visions are supposed to be a warning, and I'm giving you my warning. You hold potentially the entire world in the palm of your hand if you walk away from who you are. Disaster will strike at those that you love or will love in the future. Do not forget this warning. Now go. What you do with my warnings and the visions that you saw is entirely up to you. Hinata was motioned to get back up when she did. Before she left, the seer said one last piece of advice. There's one thing I'll tell you, Hinata. If you don't open up your heart and learn to love again, one of those futures will undeniably happen. You've been betrayed. I know you loved once, and the person you loved betrayed you. I only tell you this because if you don't open up your heart, one of those futures will come to pass. Your actions for good or ill could change the fabric of our world. You could be the next Byakugan queen. You have the potential for it. Hinata waited for the seer to finish. One last question, Hinata. Before you go, how far are you willing to go to protect Naruto? Hinata looked at the woman. She didn't know what this had to do with anything. She had made a promise to Kushina, she would not go back on her word, that was her ninja way. I would protect Naruto by any means necessary. The woman looked at her curiously. Even if it meant going against the world. Hinata didn't understand what she meant. I don't know what you mean. She looked confused. Hinata didn't understand. Perhaps in time, you will understand, Hinata. She was about to leave, but not before the seer gave her one last warning. One of those possible futures will come to pass if you do not pay attention to what Naruto feels for you. You may not want to acknowledge it, but his feelings for you are deep. If you don't understand the depth of his feelings, you will lose him. She was dismissed and walked away, wanting to get as far away as possible from the possible futures she saw. The implication was that she might fall in love again, which she didn't want to believe. She vowed she would never fall in love, and one of those futures was Naruto. No, it was a possible future she wouldn't fall in love, even with him. Chapter 8 Sapphire Village Part 1 Family and Trust. Naruto couldn't help but be mesmerized by the scenery of the village. He still found it strange that the inhabitants still weren't out in the open. It felt like a ghost town, even though he knew there were people. He and his teammates were waiting for their sensei. I don't know about you, but this place gives me the creeps. Naruto cannot help but voice his thoughts aloud. For once, I agree with you, said Kagome. To think that Madara Uchiha once set foot here, it's surreal. Sasuke couldn't help but say that even he was amazed by this place. I just want to be out of here, Naruto said, trying to hide his discomfort. Soon the Chunin exams are coming. I don't know about you, but I want to be prepared. The Chunin exams, I agree, it would definitely be helpful if I were promoted. It would make things a lot easier. Naruto can't help but notice something beneath Kagome's exterior. Perhaps there's a lot more to her than he initially thought, but he didn't want to ask because he didn't want to intrude. You're starting to notice things that ordinary people wouldn't notice because they only look at what's on the surface, said Kyuubi, impressed with Naruto's observation skills. I don't know why I didn't notice it before, Naruto said, kicking himself. It's because of your experiences that you're able to have those skills. It's not something you can gain unless you have empathy and compassion for others. He answered. It made sense to Naruto before he couldn't indulge in his thoughts any further. He saw Hinata approach the group. Naruto couldn't put his finger on it, but he could tell she was distraught. Our mission is done, we're heading home, Hinata said without any emotion. Whatever was troubling Hinata made her want to leave the village as soon as possible. Before the party could leave, the man they escorted was looking at Naruto. You're not like I expected, Naruto Uzumaki, Tonari said to him. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Naruto said to him, confused. You'll learn in time, you should head home. He had no idea what that was about, he followed his team. They were coming back from where they had come. He couldn't help but feel like something was disturbing Hinata. He would give anything to bring a smile to her face, for her to laugh the sadness in her eyes. The more he spends time with her, the more he notices these things. Are you okay, sensei? Naruto asked Hinata with concern. We should head home, she said, not answering his question. He felt so powerless. He wanted to help her. Why did he care so much? He couldn't do anything, he was just a boy, and that frustrated him the most. He wished he could grow up and become strong so he could bring a smile to her face instead of the forced, fake smile she uses to hide her pain. Kagome couldn't stand the awkward silence. It had been 4 days since they started the journey home. Traversing the landscape took even more time getting back than getting in. She wasn't complaining, the mission was easy, but she felt something was off. Her sensei was quiet, like she had a lot on her mind. She made sure the coast was clear and opened the pendant that contains the image of her mother holding her as a baby alongside her father, who passed away 6 years ago on a mission. She misses her father, the rare instance where she shows emotion, she allows tears to fall. Her father was killed by a missing nin. The person who did it was a traitor to the village. She looked at her sword, the only thing she has left of her father. She vowed if she ever finds the man that murdered him, she would kill him. So you do have emotions. She was startled and saw that it was none other than Sasuke. You will not tell anyone about this, she said with barely controlled anger. I have no interest, I'm just curious. You are so mysterious compared to the rest of the students in our class. Next to nothing is known about you. Your last name is nothing special. I can't help but be curious. She didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to have this discussion. Do you have a point, Uchiha, or are you trying to piss me off? She said, dropping any pretense of respect. I mean no disrespect, I mean things don't add up. You get dropped from the program only to be added back in because of your talent, don't you find that a little suspicious? She didn't care if she told Sasuke she didn't care. She tries to convince herself to hide the pain of loss of someone important to her that died recently. If someone had to die for her to have another chance, her mother needed her no matter how awful the reality is. That was the truth. I really don't care, she said dismissively. You're not a good liar, Sasuke said, not buying what she was saying. Let's just say that I do have my reasons for wanting to be a ninja just like you do. What business is that of yours? Sasuke answered immediately. You're right, it's none of my business any more than what my reasoning is, but you're not going to get very far on our team if you're not at least willing to be a little honest with me and Naruto. I won't bother you for the rest of the night. Sasuke left Kagome alone with her thoughts. The return journey was uneventful. Not much was said. Hinata bid her team farewell and went to the Hokage office, reporting the success of the mission. I take it your mission went well. Hiruzen asked her. It did go well, but I do have a question if you don't mind me asking. If you were wondering if I knew the true purpose of the mission, yes I did know. Hinata felt furious. Why couldn't he be honest? How many times do I have to tell people that the clan has nothing to do with me? The man signed in disappointment. I won't ask why your relationship with your clan is like it is, and I won't ask because that would be pushing boundaries I don't want to cross. You got to be careful, Hinata. You're openly being disdainful towards your own clan, reminding people too much of Itachi. She flinched when she heard that name. I'm nothing like that scum, Hinata said contemptuously. I know you're not. You got to be careful. There are those that will use you for their own ends if you're not careful, and you know who I'm talking about. Hinata knew exactly what he was talking about. I know I don't want to kill my clan, you have to know that, but I prefer not to talk about my issues with my own clan because that is between me and my clan, that has nothing to do with my duties to the village, Hinata said respectfully. Regardless of their disagreements, she holds Hiruzen with high esteem due to him being one of the first people to believe in her and her dream. Your relationship with your clan does affect what you do for your village. The Hyuga clan are part of the village, and what you do with your clan affects your duties to the village as well. You cannot separate the two. Whatever issues you have with your clan, you will have to resolve them sooner or later. Your clan will make or break your chances of being the Hokage. She couldn't stand that she had to depend on her damn clan to enact change. This is the reason why I want to be Hokage. Those who want to be in leadership positions that support the Hokage should be able to do so on their own merit, not their connections to their clan, nor their connections to whatever family they're born into. She felt like she was preaching to the choir when talking to the Hokage about her goal. I understand that, but I'm pointing out the reality. When you're the Hokage, everyone becomes your family, including your clan. Though we aren't here to discuss this, I'm actually assigning your team on another mission. She was given a dossier on the next mission. It was AC rank. What she also read was that there were other people coming on the mission from other teams. Why were there two teams besides hers on AC rank mission? Before she could ask that question, two more of her colleagues entered the room. It was two of her colleagues who had just come back from their own missions. Kurenai and Asuma said nothing and entered the room. They then formed a Jonin in formation along with Hinata, which is expected from those of their rank when they're being briefed on a mission. The Hokage spoke in a military-like manner. Kurenai, Asuma, and Hinata, your teams are assigned to go help the village of Sapphire in the northeast on the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning. Hinata tensed. She wanted to be as far away from the Land of Lightning as possible and certainly nowhere near the country and people who murdered her mother. She didn't voice her opposition. She couldn't. She had to take the mission for the sake of her team. Hokage-sama, surely you don't need to send us on a mission like this unless there's another reason. Asked Kurenai, who was as perplexed as Hinata. Truth be told, we are short on manpower, and this mission is at least AB rank. You and your students are the best qualified for this mission. It made sense to Hinata, but it still made her feel uncomfortable going on a mission this dangerous so soon. She'd put her thoughts about her failure in the land of waves down to the deepest depths of her mind. To answer your question, why I'm sending 3 teams, there was a disaster that recently struck at the Sapphire Village. We don't know who's behind it or what's behind it. Whether it's a national disaster or some nefarious party involved, there will be 2 missions here. The Jonin will help the people in the Sapphire Village, in whatever ways they can, while you Asuma and Kurenai will investigate the cause. The reason I'm giving you 3 this mission in case the perpetrators attempt to finish whatever they started or they try to do other nefarious things, you will be given the A-rank mission, while your students will be given the C rank. That is agreeable, isn't it? Asked the Hokage. Hinata couldn't argue against it. When do you need us to depart? Asked Asuma, who didn't look like he was any more enthused about going on this mission than she was. The Hokage answered, no later than tomorrow. Sorry if it's under a short notice, but we're understaffed. He did a dismissive gesture to signal that this was the end of their briefing. They headed out of the Hokage office. Nothing was said until Kurenai spoke. I heard what happened in the land of waves. I'm sorry. Hinata said nothing and allowed her friend to continue. It never gets easier. Death and failure are always possibilities in this line of work. I've lost students too. Don't let what happened in the land of waves destroy you. Hinata, I know you're strong. She appreciated her words, but she couldn't find any comfort in them. Someone with a bright future ahead of her had her life cut short because I made a bad call. Asuma interjected. If anyone's at fault, it's those damn instructors at the academy. They should have enforced discipline. They should have taught our students to properly learn survival skills and what to do in life and death situations. People like Sakura would still be alive, or at least have a higher chance of surviving. It's not your fault, Hinata. That could have happened to any of us. He said kindly. She knew they were both right, but it didn't make her feel better, it made her angrier. At the incompetence of the civilian council, their control over any decision, them getting in the way of getting anything meaningful done, and that damn snake, Gonzo, being one of the leading charges for every bad decision made by them. See you tomorrow, Hinata. Don't get into any trouble, okay? Kurenai and Asuma bid her farewell and left Hinata alone. She couldn't go back to her apartment. She went to the one place and always brought her comfort even as a child, the place that Kushina used to take her when she babysat her as a child. She sat down and looked at the sky. She remembered counting the stars. The child with her idol, she told her everything about the stars, what they were represented, and she treasured those memories. When she thinks about those times, her second mother used to sing to her, play with her, and tell her stories. She loved her very much. Kushina was like a second mother, she misses her even to this day. When she was a child, she was a constant source of strength and reassurance. She feels like a disappointment, and how she had fallen. She's completely short, she couldn't bear the thought of what Kushina would think of her, and how much of a disappointment she is. She feels like she can do more for Naruto, who deserves better. She wants to do more for him, but she's scared of getting too close. That vision of Naruto becoming a monster for her. It's because I love you, I'll do everything and anything for you, even killing my own humanity, that's how precious you're to me. In the vision, she was afraid of it becoming real. She feared that if he loved her too much, he would turn into a monster. Naruto is a boy, and I'm a 19-year-old woman. I won't fall in love with him, he is a child. She said to herself, trying to convince herself more than anyone else. Sasuke made sure to pay a visit to his parents' graves. He didn't visit as often as he used to. He felt compelled to after the mission to the Land of the Moon. The place that he was at was a memorial for the Uchiha clan. He felt his clan deserved more than a memorial, they deserved to be avenged for the deaths that were caused by a traitor. He didn't even want to mention his name. He associated his brother's name with everything that he had lost trust in people, family. Nobody can possibly understand what it's like to look up to someone and love them greatly, only for them to betray you. So many of the people that he remembered seeing every day prior to the massacre, he could still see them in his mind, he couldn't bear the thought of forgetting about them. So many people died, and for what? So his brother could test his capacity. He lit an incense at the memorial and did a prayer. Once proud, the clan had been reduced to only one member left. Sasuke, as far as he was concerned, didn't see his brother as part of the clan he had forsaken that right when he killed everyone. He wanted not only to restore the clan but also to avenge them so that their souls could finally rest. He remembers the night vividly, when he came home from school and heard screaming. He saw the dead bodies of men, women, and children, even infants were not spared. Blood was everywhere. He remembers the gore, the severed limbs, and the headless torso. He threw up and was worse of all, he saw his parents' dead bodies. His father had decapitated his mother in a pool of her own blood. He can never forget the images, no matter how much the images give him nightmares. To forget about what happened would be dishonorable to the victims. He reads every single name of every person who died. He recites their names every night before going to sleep in order not to forget. Some might call it an obsession, but he doesn't care. The main thing he lives for is to avenge his clan and restore its honor by killing the traitor who dishonored the clan's name. Only he can do it, only he can kill Itachi. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I wasn't strong enough, but I promise I will avenge you and everyone who died. I will bring justice. I will bring back honor to our clan. I miss you. I wish you were here. Sasuke said in rare instances where he cried. He never did it unless he was alone. He renewed his vows every time he visited the memorial, however many missions he was assigned, no matter what training regimen was given to him, and from whomever he learned, he would take everything they gave him and destroy the murderer and butcher who he will not name. Naruto couldn't sleep. He went to his usual spot when he had trouble sleeping. When he arrived, he noticed it was occupied. He saw Hinata, who was looking at the moon. She wasn't wearing her jacket. Before he could move or say anything, Hinata turned around and noticed he was there. I'm sorry, sensei. I didn't know you would be here. Naruto apologized. This place doesn't belong to anyone. I just come here when I need to be alone and can't sleep. She confessed. I come here when I can't sleep too, and when I'm upset. I didn't think someone else would have gone here. Naruto admitted. I've been here many times. This place has always brought me peace. I never told anyone that there were only 2 other people who knew about this place. I hope I'm not being intrusive, but do you know of anyone else who knows about this place? Naruto asked her. She was my role model, and I guess you could say she was like a second mother to me. I miss her to this very day. There isn't one day I don't miss her. I miss her cooking. You remind me of her in a way. Naruto didn't know what to think of that. She must have been a really good person if you look up to her so much. Naruto couldn't help but point out, you would have loved her, and she would have loved you. He couldn't help but notice a tear in her eye. I wish I had known my parents, I really wish. Naruto didn't know why he felt comfortable telling Hinata this, but she was one of the first people other than Iruka not to treat him as a monster. Continuing, I wouldn't know the first thing about what it's like to be loved by a mother or even a father. The closest thing I have is Iruka, who would be more like an older brother, an old man who would probably be a grandfather. The people who work at Ichiraku are the closest thing I would have to a father and a sister, but I really don't know what it's like. Hinata looked at him in understanding. Family is more than blood to Naruto. There are people who can have even stronger family connections with those who are not blood relatives. The friends I have are the closest thing I have to family. I'm closer to them than I am with even my own family from my experience. Naruto, you don't need to have someone that's related to you to think of them as a mother or a father or a sister. I'm jealous of everyone who had parents and siblings. It would have been nice rather than growing up alone. Naruto rarely shows vulnerability to anyone, but for some reason Hinata is the one he feels comfortable enough to show his true self. I'm sorry, Naruto. I was being insensitive. I didn't mean to. Naruto shakes his head, not wanting her to think she did anything wrong. It's not your fault, sensei. Hinata didn't let him elaborate. Naruto, I should know better than you. You've grown up in pretty bad conditions, living in the worst kind of place in Konoha. I've seen your apartment. You deserve better than being shunned by the village. And it makes me so angry. Naruto didn't know what to think. Could he trust her with his secret? Iruka accepts him, but he doesn't treat Naruto with unconditional respect and compassion like Hinata does. Whatever you tell her or don't tell her is up to you, but sooner or later she'll find out. The fox advised. Naruto knew he was taking a huge risk. He didn't know if he could trust the rest of his team, but Hinata, he had to believe that she wouldn't be judgmental. Hinata-sensei, there's something I want to tell you. Can you please not tell anyone if I tell you? Naruto asked her. Of course, Naruto. I'm your teacher. I'm all ears, you don't have to hide anything from me. I won't judge you, Hinata said kindly to him. Naruto took a deep breath. Are you familiar with what happened with the Kyuubi 13 years ago? Naruto asked her. Hinata remembered that night like it was yesterday. She was at the compound, holding her newborn sister, when she saw the attack that claimed many lives, including the woman she looked up to and the man she respected. She remembered when she placed her hand on Kushina's stomach when she was pregnant with Naruto and felt a kick. Her second mother figure joked that she would end up being his babysitter and probably have in a different life. We were told the Kyuubi was destroyed because the fourth Hokage and his wife had both perished. What did it have to do with him? Hinata asked him. She saw a look of fear in his eyes. She knew without him saying anything, she could guess why he didn't have any friends. His treatment was harsh. I'm so sorry, Hinata said, hugging Naruto. She knew this was not what she was supposed to do, but the pain of being hated for something that wasn't his fault made her cry. Why are you crying, Hinata-sensei? Naruto asked, confused. Because 13 years of being treated as a monster and you didn't do anything wrong. What kind of people would treat a child like that? You didn't deserve to go through what you went through. If anything, you're a damn hero. You could have given in to your hatred and become the very monster they saw you as. What you didn't tell me is that you're a hero. You have protected this village for 13 years. Do you have any idea what that means, Naruto? You have a strength of character and a determination to never give up. Those who judge you for something that isn't your fault don't deserve you. This village doesn't deserve you. Hinata said sincerely. Thank you, this is a huge weight lifted from my shoulders. You are kind, Hinata-sensei. I don't care what anyone says, your kindness and gentle nature are your strengths, not your weaknesses. Anyone who thinks otherwise is foolish. I don't deserve to have someone as good as you as my sensei or a friend. They were silent. Hinata knew it was running late. Let me take you home now. It's getting late, and we have a mission the next day. She picked him up as if she were picking up a child and quickly took him home. She normally wouldn't be able to do it because of his weight. He was sound asleep by the time she got to his apartment. She laid him on his bed. When she was about to leave, she felt him hanging onto her hand. She didn't want to wake him up, so she gently removed her hand from his. She looked at his sleeping face and reminded herself that the vision she had in the village wasn't real. The anger that she had over the revelations that she had learned. She will confront the Hokage first thing tomorrow why she was not given the information that she was entitled to when she was promoted. She would not fail. Kushina Naruto would have better living accommodations even if she has to provide him with ever herself. She will never let him live in an awful apartment if she has the power to make his life better. She laid down in her bed, setting her alarm early in the morning. There, she would confront the Hokage about his negligence. Kagome got the money from the mission and headed straight home. She opened the door and was greeted by her mother, a woman in her early 50s with black hair with gray on the side and brown eyes. Wearing a gray dress with an apron on, she could smell food, which she was obviously cooking. She was happy that she got home just in time to experience her mother's cooking. She moved from her spot and hugged her. I'm glad you've come home safely, her mother said worryingly. I'm okay, Mom. I brought some money so we should be good for at least the next month or so. She handed over all the money her mother reluctantly took. When you were dropped from the program I was relieved because I didn't want you to go on those missions, but then I heard you were put back on and put on a team. I'm worried. I can't help but be worried. Her mother worried a lot. She was never cut out to be a ninja. She was dropped from the program during the Second Great Ninja War due to her not being suited for combat. You worry too much, Mom, Kagome said, embarrassed. I worry because you're my daughter. What kind of mother would I be if I didn't worry? Her mother asked her. I'm home now, I'll be going on another mission tomorrow. She said, feeling sad that she has to leave right when she just got home. Oh, so soon, her mother said, disappointed that she was leaving so soon, then quickly changed her demeanor to a smile. Come sit down. Dinner is almost ready, and I won't have my daughter go to sleep hungry. I'll make sure to make you something before you leave tomorrow. She sat down, and when her mother was done cooking, she gave her dinner. Most would consider what she was eating not much, but to her, she appreciated everything she had. She had no least favorite food due to times being hard and forced to eat what they had. It's how things always were for her, it was at the small moments that she felt the most at peace. Most children of ninja don't appreciate their parents, especially those whose civilian parents are not ninja. She couldn't understand why ninja who have civilian parents don't have a relationship with their families. Family is the most precious thing to her. Did you at least make any friends on your new team? Her mother asked. I'm not in it to make friends, my only goal is to provide for us. She answered harsher than she intended. I'm sorry, mother. I didn't mean it. Her mother gently silenced her, knowing she didn't mean it. I understand you remind me of my sister. She was a lot like you when she was your age. Kagome rarely hears about her aunt who has been dead for 13 years. What was she like? Kagome asked her mother. She was a kind and gentle soul. She cared greatly for others, her friends and her family. There wasn't a single soul that didn't love her. When she died it hurt all of us. She was my younger sister, yet there were times where she felt like she was the older sister. The way her mother talked about her aunt was sorrowful. She barely talked about her due to how much she missed her. I wish I had known her. What little you've told me, she sounds like an amazing person. The woman smiled sadly. She would have loved you, Kagome. You're a lot like her, even though you hide it, you are kind and gentle like she was. I really wish you would open up and make friends. Please don't sacrifice your youth for me. You deserve to enjoy it. They ate in silence, and she bid her mother good night before going to sleep, preparing for tomorrow's mission. Hiruzen was sorting out paperwork, approving and denying requests, and was doing preparations for the upcoming Chunin exams. He was looking at other things as well, such as complaints and requests. Before he could do anything else, he heard a knock on the door and he knew who it was without even looking at him. What are you doing here, Danzo? I know you're not here to have a casual chat or to say hello, he said, trying to hide his hostility. My contacts, I've heard you're sending the Uchiha and that thing on another mission along with that inexperienced woman that got one of her students killed. He knew he was referring to Hinata without him saying her name. Anyone could have made that mistake on that mission. Hinata is no exception to this, he said, defending her. Oh, yes, she's Hokage material. A woman in Hyuga who can't even complete one mission without losing one of her students, whose idea was it to make her Jonin? Danzo said challengingly. Last time I checked, I'm the Hokage. I make the decisions. I make the rules. That she went through the same process as everyone else to get promoted to Jonin. If anything, her record has proven time and time again that she is responsible and is far more qualified than most of your candidates. Hiruzen said, rebuking his obvious prejudice. A Hyuga like her should never have been promoted. The stuck-up, arrogant members of that clan don't deserve anything. It has nothing to do with her being a woman, it's all about her ability. She'll be far more useful if she does what her clan tells her, get married and produce an heir. That's what her purpose is, not a foolish dream of being Hokage. Danzo knows how to push his buttons. Are you here to waste my time, Danzo, or do you have a point to this? He was getting sick and tired of dealing with this conversation. He had a lot of work to do today, and having to deal with one of his political rivals wasn't how he wanted to spend his day. We have a chance to have a foothold in the Sapphire Village, but instead, you're sending our valuable assets on a charity mission. Danzo said this with disgust. So your answer then is to annex a sovereign country, when they've been independent for centuries, just like the Luna Village. You hardliners have been pushing to annex territories and make them part of the Land of Fire. I want no part in that, not even Lord Second was an imperialist warhawk like you. Hiruzen was enraged, he didn't want to deal with him anymore. He wished she could simply liquidate Danzo along with the civilian council and the council elders. Before they could argue any further, he heard a bang on the door, and when it opened, he saw Hinata, who looked extremely angry. Then, he looked at Danzo, who was smirking as if he knew Hinata was coming. Hinata was angry. She saw two people, Danzo and Hiruzen. Do you need something, Hinata? Asked Hiruzen, surprised to see her back so soon. Yes, I want to know why you never told me about what happened the night the Kyuubi attacked our village. Why didn't you tell me that Kyuubi was sealed inside Naruto? I had a right to know considering I'm a Jonin and he's my student, Hinata said, trying her hardest not to lose control of her anger. We don't got time for this nonsense, said Danzo, not happy that Hinata interrupted their talk. I'll make it quick, she said, not showing Danzo any ounce of respect. This is not the time, Hinata. She couldn't stand the way he was treating the situation with Naruto. When is it time? Kushina-san trusted you to take care of Naruto. Minato-san wanted you to make sure he was treated as a hero, and what did you do to honor their dying request? Nothing. Sure, you may have helped pay Naruto's rent, but you have done the bare minimum. What about his well-being? The lack of a response from him made her even angrier. We can talk about this at a later time, but we have more important things to discuss than the treatment of the Kyuubi, said Danzo with contempt. His name is Naruto. You son of a bitch. He's not something or some tool to be used. His name is Naruto, as his teacher and as his friend. And to honor Kushina-san, I'm going to make sure Naruto will never again experience what he has gone through for the past 13 years. That's what I'm here to tell you, and you can't stop me. I will do what you have failed to do. The old man had no way of defending himself. Are you just going to let this woman disrespect you? It's no wonder the elders look at you as weak and spineless. Danzo said, enjoying what Hinata did in front of him. Damn you, Danzo. You'll use anything to further your own ends. Get out of this office. The answer is no. I will not go by your recommendation. Not now, not ever. He looked at Hinata and smirked before leaving the office. I wish you wouldn't have done that now. You helped Danzo and he'll use what you did in order to justify positioning himself as the next Hokage. How can you be so impulsive and foolish, Hinata? You are better than this. The way he was saying that rubbed Hinata the wrong way. Oh, so we should just throw Naruto under the bus all for politics. I thought everyone was supposed to be family in this village. Hinata said accusingly. How dare you? Do you have any idea how hard it is to be the Hokage? The hard decisions that is required. You know, you've been on missions where you had to make hard choices. She wasn't going to allow him to weasel his way out of this one. You dishonor his parents. They've told you to take care of him to make sure he was okay when he grew up, but look what happened. The village treated him as a demon incarnate. We are lucky he didn't give in to his anger and rage and use the power of Kyuubi to destroy us all. Naruto is a real hero, and his treatment dishonors Minato and Kushina's memory. Since I'm a Jonin, I will use whatever funds necessary to ensure Naruto no longer lives in that shithole of an apartment that he's been forced to live in for all these years. I'm taking responsibility. I will take my leave unless you have anything you would like to say before I go. I'm going to leave. Hinata turned her back on the Hokage and headed straight to the gates. Hiruzen put a pipe in his mouth, the stress of dealing with the affairs of the village and Hinata confronting him about his negligence. She wasn't wrong. He does wish she wouldn't have confronted him when Danzo was present. There was so much to deal with. Sightings of Orochimaru, Danzo, and the civilian council wishing to keep Naruto confined like an animal in a cage. It took a lot not to leap across the room and strangle Danzo. He hated the man, he hated him for many years. The amount of support he was getting was disturbing to him, the dissatisfaction he was taking full advantage of it. You know that was going to happen sooner or later, sensei, you should have told her sooner, said Jiraiya. He rarely sees his days and wonders what the reason is for being in Konoha. Did you hear everything? He asked his former student. Pretty much. I'm not going to judge you for what you have done. I'm not here for that. I'm here for something that cannot be put off. Can we go somewhere where no one will be able to hear us? Asked Jiraiya. It must be something serious for you to be here without sending a message through a scroll. Jiraiya had a grave look on his face. There are spies everywhere. I cannot tell you this information without leaking to one of his loyal followers. Hiruzen knew exactly what he was referring to. We shall discuss it at one of my secret homes with one of my toads. We can get there instantly by reverse summoning. It isn't too far. He had a bad feeling. He didn't know why, but something about Danzo, the way he smiled, gave him a very bad feeling. Sasuke made sure to get everything for the mission. He double-checked his pouch. It had everything he needed. All of his tools were there. On his way to the gate, he ran into Naruto. What's up, Sasuke? Naruto shouted. Damn it, idiot. Can you not be so loud? Sasuke said. Oh, sorry, Naruto apologized. Do you have any idea what this mission is about? Asked Naruto. I have no idea. I was told by our sensei that we have to be at the gates of Konoha first thing in the morning, Sasuke answered. I heard we're working with other teams. I hope they're not difficult to work with, Naruto said, not really looking forward to dealing with a certain someone. When they were almost at the gate they met up with Kagome, who was wearing a different set of attire. She had a gray tunic and she had her hair tied to a ponytail. Sasuke knew she was doing that to wear clothing that drew less attention. She walked ahead of the group. Sasuke didn't think too much of it. When they're at the gates, their sensei was there along with 6 others around their age. He recognized all of them, from the boy that wore a gray jacket and had red markings on his cheek. He knew him as Kiba from the Inuzuka clan that had strong relationships with their dogs. They weren't pets for them but family, friends, companions. The second was Shino, who wore a gray jacket and hid his eyes with sunglasses. He was of the Aburame clan, which utilizes insects as ninja tools. Sasuke knew they weren't the kind of clan you would want to mess with, and you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of any of their jutsus. They're one of the strongest clans in Konoha. They frequently get promoted in high positions because of their skills. The last of their group was a girl. She was cold. She's the next in line to be the head of the Hyuga clan. She had long brown hair and the features of what is expected of the clan. In terms of grades, she was on the top 5. Her name was Hanabi, the younger sister of Team 7 sensei. He looked at Hinata, who kept her distance. He was wondering why there was so much hostility. She wasn't even looking at her own sister. He couldn't help but notice that the girl was hurt that her sister was giving her the cold shoulder. The other team, he knew them quite well by reputation. Their family have been put on the same team for generations, in the latest of them as their children. The first among them was Shikamaru, who was far more intelligent than he let on. His grades weren't on the top 10, but Sasuke wasn't fooled. He wasn't the kind of opponent you would want to underestimate, and Sasuke knows he uses that to his advantage. Shikamaru was proof that grades don't mean anything substantial in the real world. The Nara clan has a jutsu that could freeze someone in place. Usually members of their clan were usually the leaders of a respective team. The second Choji is from a clan where its members are mistakenly considered fat when they really are. They have specific abilities that allow them to shed their weight in order to temporarily gain immense power, but Sasuke had yet to see it. The Akamichi clan were not very forthcoming about their secrets any more than other clans. He didn't know much personally about Choji except not to call him fat or bring attention to his weight. The last of the trio was a blonde-haired girl who had her hair tied to a ponytail, who had green eyes. He knew she was one of his fangirls, or at least he thinks she is. He doesn't know. He doesn't pay attention. The only thing he does know is her name and the clan that she's from. Ino Yamanaka was not someone to take lightly. Sasuke heard of the mind-transferred jutsu and wouldn't be surprised if she possessed it due to it being a signature technique from her clan. Their clan possessed other abilities and they were mostly used to support rather than to fight. All the teams that were here specialized in something. Team 7 were mostly consisting of ninjutsu users. Team 8 were more sensory types who were more useful during reconnaissance missions, while Team 10 are the most balanced of the 3, the way they could do multiple types of missions at once. At least that's what Sasuke gathered. But what were they all doing here? Why were this many people here on a C-rank mission? Kagome felt like she was being stared at by everyone she was used to. She was used to being disliked by her peers. What she saw though from Ino was outrage at her very presence. Must be nice having Sakura's death pave the way for you to have a chance to be in the program once again. She knew this was being used to bait her. I really don't care if you hate me or not. I have my own reasons for wanting to be a ninja. Unlike the person I replaced, I actually take my duties as a ninja seriously. This really angered Ino, but Kagome didn't care. You bitch, how can you be so insensitive? She was our friend, she asked, outraged by the way she was acting. Truth be told, it was eating at her inside, but she couldn't show it to anyone. Nobody could possibly know. It's nothing personal. I have my own reasons for being a ninja. There's nothing noble or honorable about this life. You better get that through your thick skull if you don't want to end up like her. She was about to slap her when Hinata, who had gotten between them, said scoldingly, "You disgrace your sensei by acting in this manner." Before she could do anything, Hinata looked straight at Kagome's eyes as if she were looking straight into her soul. Don't get all smug and arrogant, Kagome. I was directing that comment at you. She couldn't believe it. She was about to be assaulted, and she was taking that Ino's side. I didn't do anything wrong. I was simply pointing out. Hinata cut her off. I will not have you make light of my student's death. She had a family, she had dreams of her own. I will not have you dishonor me or her by making light of it. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ino turned her back on her and went back to her team. Kagome was fuming with anger. You will learn to work with your team and you will respect me. Or I will personally have you dropped from the program. Do I make myself clear, Kagome Takahashi? She couldn't say anything. She couldn't afford to be dropped from the program. Her mother needed her. She let her go and went to talk to her peers. Kagome couldn't help but feel awful. She was chastised in front of everyone. She felt so angry because Hinata was right, and Kagome, as much as she denies it, she does feel some form of guilt because if Sakura hadn't been killed, someone dear to her wouldn't have a chance to be a ninja. It would make matters worse. She couldn't dispute any of it. She hated this shinobi system. She hated that she even had to be a shinobi in the first place. Her dream she can't possibly even dream about anything or even pursue it because her mother needs her. She walked in formation with her team and Hinata briefed everyone about the mission. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't help but harbor a deep hatred in her heart for Hinata. If it hadn't been for Hinata, Sakura would still be alive. Her earlier reaction to Ino was her way of coping with Sakura's death. It was difficult for her to believe that her friend was gone. She buried this deep inside to the depths of her mind. Her focus was on completing the mission and returning home safely so her mother could be provided for. Before we head out for our mission, first, I'll give you a briefing. Hinata said to all the genin present. She was given the okay by Kurenai and Asuma to continue. We are all assigned to a mission to help the people of the Sapphire Village. There, you will be on a separate mission. You will be helping the people of the village in any way that you can. We will be going on another mission to investigate the cause of the disaster. You are not to engage with anyone if they appear at any circumstances. Hide and do not draw unnecessary attention to yourselves. Everyone looked at Hinata and nodded. Since you will be on your own at some point in the mission, we will have to assign a leader to each team. Hinata read the names of those who will lead. For Team 7, the leader will be Naruto Uzumaki. Kagome didn't look pleased with Sasuke. It was difficult to read what his thoughts were. People would think she was making a mistake by not making Sasuke the leader, but because Naruto is able to think on his feet and plan to get the bells, he is the most qualified in her eyes, and she isn't going to back down if there are any objections. He is her student. Next was Kurenai. For my team, I choose Shino. Your calm and your ability to assess situations make you in my eyes the most qualified to lead. No one on the team objected, they all respected her. If only she could say the same about her team, only Naruto truly has her respect. She was almost the sensei of Team 8, but she was placed on Team 7 due to Kakashi turning down being a teacher to other students. He told her he prefers one-on-one over in groups. She was grateful she wasn't the teacher of Team 8, having to deal with her sister was something she didn't want to deal with. She was not really on speaking terms with anyone from her clan. The way her sister was looking at her, Hinata couldn't do it. They were close once, and before their mother's death. Asuma she knew immediately who he would choose. It was obvious Shikamaru would be the one he would choose. Shikamaru, you know the drill, there's no need for me to say it, the lazy boy signed. I have a question, Hinata-sensei, who's the leader of your team? Asked Sasuke curiously. She couldn't answer the question and she felt stupid for not even thinking about that, but she didn't have time to indulge in her thoughts before. Asuma quickly interrupted. Me and Kurenai have decided that Hinata will be our leader when it's time for our mission to start. Asuma's interjection caught Hinata off guard. She couldn't show her surprise on her face because she had to appear strong in front of everyone. Hinata changed her demeanor to a commanding one. All right, everyone, move out. Hinata and all of her traveling companions started their journey to the Sapphire Village. Danzo was satisfied with how things turned out. Riling up his rival and having Hinata show up at the most convenient time spying on Naruto had paid off. Everyone in the building heard Hinata's accusations. He learned in his life that in order to have true victory you have to be patient and take advantage of any opportunity that presents itself. Hinata's protectiveness of Naruto and her care for him was useful. Making sure she didn't learn that Naruto had the Kyuubi sealed inside of him also worked for his plans. Everyone among her peers knowing about the Kyuubi, but Hinata was useful to his plans. The past 13 years' gambit had finally paid off. He was staring down at one of his elite Abu. It was a woman, her body was covered from head to toe. She wore black and wore a mask that resembled a demon fox. How ironic, he thought to himself. Do you know your mission? Gonzo asked. The masked woman. Make sure to do whatever is necessary to make sure Konoha benefits from relations with the Sapphire Village and eliminate anyone that gets in the way of that mission. He nodded in approval. There is one other thing that I ordered you to do. No matter what, Naruto must survive, and if Hinata must be eliminated, make sure the enemy cannot recover the Byakugan. The woman got up and spoke emotionlessly. Your will be done. She left his hideout. Danzo didn't care one way or the other if the mission failed, as long as the Land of Lightning doesn't benefit. He looks at the calendar and smiles evilly. Your days are numbered, and this weakness that has plagued Konoha for too long will be destroyed soon. Our village will be reborn. He was anticipating the day where Hiruzen and his foolish ideology dies. It would be soon, very soon. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It helps me make more videos like this. Have a great day.